At 4:17 a.m. on a dead silent night, the psychotic HOA President Bethany Crow kicked down my front door in her designer pajamas, screaming, "I have master key authority. Your filthy mutts woke the entire neighborhood, and I'm done with you military types acting like you're above the rules, soldier boy." She waved a fake key like she owned my house. What? She completely forgot. My 290 LBBY German Shepherds, retired military canines, were on night guard duty. Crash! Both dogs exploded toward her in full protection mode. She shrieked, stumbled backward, and dropped her master key in terror. This entitled Karen had harassed me for months over nothing while her own landscaping crew blasts leaf blowers at 6 a.m. every Sunday. But here's the best part. I'd been secretly recording everything. That night, she handed me the final proof I needed to dismantle her little HOA empire for good. This revenge went absolutely nuclear. Would you press charges if a Karen broke into your home and insulted your service? Let me back up and tell you how this nightmare started. My name's Ezra Thornton, 52, retired military police turned freelance security consultant. After 23 years keeping terrorists in line overseas, I figured dealing with suburban Karens would be a complete joke. Biggest miscalculation of my entire life. 6 months ago, my wife Carmen, she's a trauma nurse at the VA hospital, and I moved to Willowbrook Estates with our twin daughters, Maya and Sophia, both 16 and absolutely obsessed with our 2 German Shepherds. Rex and Luna aren't your typical family pets. They're 90 pounds retired military K9s. I adopted after their combat tours ended. Rex still wakes up screaming from Afghanistan nightmares. Luna lost her left eye to an Iraqi IED blast. They're not pets. They're fellow veterans earning their therapy dog certifications while keeping our property secure. We specifically bought this house for the large fenced yard and paid a premium after the realtor promised us a military-friendly community. What complete _ that turned out to be. Enter the neighborhood's self-appointed dictator, Bethany Crow. Picture this. 48 years old, bottle blonde hair sprayed into an indestructible helmet, drives a white BMW with HOA boss vanity plates like she's running her own small country. She's been HOA board president for 8 consecutive years because she's systematically bullied every potential opponent into submission. By day, she sells overpriced McMansions to unsuspecting suckers. By night, she cosplays as neighborhood Gestapo, patrolling streets with a measuring tape and stopwatch. The woman lives in this gaudy Mediterranean castle, the kind of house that screams new money, absolutely no taste, and treats property values like they're sacred religious scripture that only she can interpret. Our charming introduction happened exactly 1 week after moving in. I was in the backyard working with Rex on anxiety reduction exercises when a sharp click of stiletto heels announced her royal arrival. The overwhelming assault of vanilla bourbon perfume hit me like chemical warfare. Imagine if Bath & Body Works had exploded inside a strip mall during a candle convention. Are you aware your animals are violating multiple noise ordinances? She announced without even pretending at basic pleasantries. It's 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. Decent families are trying to eat dinner in peace, not listen to your pets. I glanced around, genuinely confused. Rex was lying peacefully in the grass. Luna was literally asleep under the oak tree. The loudest sound in the entire neighborhood was Johnson's gas-powered hedge trimmer roaring 2 blocks away. "Ma'am, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I've been monitoring your property for 3 days straight," she interrupted, consulting this ridiculous little pink notebook like she was conducting actual surveillance operations. Excessive barking, unauthorized structures, and frankly, this whole military aesthetic is seriously bringing down our neighborhood's tone. There was not even attempting subtlety anymore. "These are certified service animals," I explained calmly, drawing on muscle memory from diffusing genuinely dangerous situations overseas. "I have all the proper documentation if you'd like." "Documentation?" She actually laughed. This nasty tinkling sound like expensive crystal shattering on concrete. "Oh, honey, I've been protecting our community's investment value since before you learned how to march in proper formation. Your little emotional support theater might work in government housing projects, but we maintain actual standards here. The violation notice she thrust into my hand felt like someone had photocopied it on a cocktail napkin. Cheap paper, smudged ink, obviously homemade on her personal printer. $200 for unauthorized pet structures, specifically targeting the professional therapy equipment Rex and Luna needed for their PTSD recovery work. You have 30 days to remove all unauthorized modifications and relocate any oversized animals, she declared, already clicking back toward her spotless BMW. Appeals require a $50 processing fee plus 30-day waiting period. Might I suggest researching local rental properties? They tend to be more flexible about temporary residents. That condescending smile as she drove away, like she just explained basic arithmetic to a particularly slow toddler. Here's what this suburban tyrant didn't realize. She just declared war on someone who'd spent 2 decades studying enemy psychology, building airtight legal cases, and executing precision takedowns of actual threats. The beautiful part, she was about to hand me all the rope I needed. The next morning, Carmen found me in the kitchen at 5 a.m., surrounded by legal documents and a pot of coffee strong enough to wake the Taliban. The bitter smell of dark roast mixed with her stress-baking banana bread. Whenever my wife starts turning flour into emotional therapy at dawn, I know we're in deep shit. Please tell me you're not planning to go full John Wick over some HOA psycho, she said, grabbing her scrub for another 12-hour shift, saving actual heroes at the VA. Just doing homework, babe. Sue said, know your enemy. Though I'm pretty sure he never dealt with suburban Karens. What kept me awake all night? Bethy's violation notices were complete amateur hour. No case numbers, no official letterhead formatting that screamed Microsoft Word 2003. This woman was literally cosplaying as authority with a dying printer and delusions of absolute power. Her first real escalation hit exactly 72 hours later like a tactical missile aimed at our family. Carmen burst through our front door, face redder than a fire engine after a 5-alarm blaze. That psychotic __ filed noise complaints with the city. 3 separate department, animal control, noise violations, even try to get child protective services involved because our dangerous animals are apparently traumatizing neighborhood kids. She slammed official papers onto our kitchen table with enough force to rattle the salt shaker. Reading Bethy's sworn statements made my vision tunnel with pure rage. Continuous aggressive barking from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Multiple families sleep-deprived and afraid. Children, too, scared to play outside. Owners refuse cooperation despite repeated community warnings. Complete fiction worthy of a goddamn Pulitzer Prize in creative writing. But the real gut punch, she convinced Mrs. Patterson, the Hendersons, and 3 other families, people who'd literally never spoken to us, to co-sign these manufactured lies. Maya came home that afternoon in tears because kids at school were saying we were the scary military family with attack dogs. That's when it got personal. Nobody __ with my daughters. While pulling security footage to document our defense, I struck absolute gold. My cameras had recorded Bethy's entire door-to-door propaganda campaign, and the audio was crystal clear. Apparently, lying __ don't check for surveillance equipment. I'm just trying to protect our babies. Her voice came through the speakers as I watched her manipulate Mrs. Patterson like a master puppeteer. These military types suffer from PTSD. Makes them unpredictable, sometimes violent. Those aren't family pets. They're trained killing machines. The husband has that 1,000-why stare. I've seen the type. My coffee mug cracked in my grip. 23 years defending freedom, and some suburban terrorist was painting me as a neighborhood threat to justify her personal vendetta against anyone who'd actually served their country. But the manipulation was even more sophisticated. She'd been conducting daily surveillance operations, positioning herself strategically at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. with her iPhone, hoping to record any sound she could twist into evidence. The woman had turned neighbor harassment into a full-time military operation, except she was fighting on the wrong __ side. Time for precision counter-strike warfare. My first move was installing a security system that would make Pentagon brass jealous. 8 4K cameras with military-grade night vision, timestamp audio recording, motion sensors, and cloud backup to 3 different servers across 2 states. Every conversation, every approach, every psychotic episode would be documented with the kind of thoroughness that wins court cases and destroys reputations. During my MP training, we learned that overwhelming documentation beats witness testimony every single time, especially when your witnesses are lying through their Botox faces. Next, I launched a full intelligence operation into Bethy's history. Public records revealed her systematic pattern. She'd successfully driven out 3 previous military families using identical tactics. The Martinez family fled after 8 months of harassment. The Johnsons divorced under the stress and sold their house at a loss. Our home's previous owners, a Navy veteran and his wife, lasted 6 months before escaping to a different state. This wasn't random Karen behavior. This was calculated demographic cleansing designed to maintain her perfect, white-bread suburban paradise. While researching HOA bylaws and city ordinances, I discovered something absolutely beautiful. Bethany had been operating without legitimate legal authority for years. Real HOA enforcement requires properly voted bylaws, documented meeting minutes, and established appeals processes, none of which existed in Willowbrook Estates. The diesel fumes from my security equipment delivery truck mixed with the sweet smell of impending victory as I realized this woman had been running a complete fraud operation. But our neighborhood Napoleon wasn't finished. Her next escalation was pure psychological warfare. She organized an exclusive community safety meeting at her McMansion, carefully inviting every family except ours to discuss problem residents and investment protection. Carmen's nursing colleague who lived 2 streets over texted her the real agenda. Parents were being told we represented an ongoing security threat and that our military background made us potentially dangerous to community stability. Masterful isolation tactics. Eliminate community support before we could build defensive alliances. That evening, Carmen found me grinning at my laptop like I just discovered buried treasure. "What's got you looking so satisfied, honey?" "Just delivered Princess Bethany a cease and desist letter. Certified mail, legal letterhead, the full scorched earth treatment." Bethy's response to my cease and desist letter was swift, predictable, and absolutely unhinged. 72 hours later, an emergency HOA board meeting notice appeared on every door except ours, scheduled for 2 p.m. Wednesday, when any normal person with a job couldn't attend. The agenda read like a declaration of war. Motion to amend community pet guidelines prohibiting animals over 40 pounds due to ongoing safety concerns. She'd packed the meeting with her personal army of retired, busybodies and wine-drunk housewives who had nothing better to do than police their neighbors' breakfast choices. The location, her own gaudy living room, because apparently legitimate governance happens between someone's Persian rug and their fake Tuscan wine bar. Carmen took a personal day to infiltrate enemy territory. Armed with a notebook and the kind of controlled fury that makes trauma nurses absolute legends, she returned home looking like she'd witnessed a crime against humanity. That psychotic __ showed up with a PowerPoint presentation, Carmen announced, collapsing into our kitchen chair with the weight of pure exhaustion. A Gotham 30-slide PowerPoint titled Restoring Community Safety Standards. She had graphs, Ezra, pie charts about neighborhood threat assessments. The presentation included obviously doctored photos claiming to show property damage caused by our dogs. Scratches on fence posts that could have been made by anything with claws, including Bethy's own manicured talons, mysterious holes in common area grass that looked suspiciously like sprinkler system repairs, even a blurry photo of what she claimed was Rex exhibiting aggressive posture near the mailboxes, which was actually him taking a __ behind a bush. But here's where our suburban dictator made her beautiful fatal mistake. While Carmen was documenting violations of meeting procedure, no proper notice, no quorum verification, no recorded minutes, she spotted something gorgeous in Bethy's financial presentation. The numbers were complete, __, community maintenance funds showing expenditures for administrative consulting and emergency landscaping repairs that seemed inflated beyond belief. Vendor names like Willowbrook Enhancement Solutions and Community Safety Specialists, companies that sounded suspiciously like something you'd create on a napkin during Wine Wednesday. Carmen's background includes forensic accounting for medical insurance fraud, so she recognizes financial __ from across a crowded room. While Bethany was ranting about irresponsible pet owners destroying property values, Carmen discreetly photographed every financial document with her phone like she was conducting covert intelligence gathering. That evening, we spread the evidence across our dining room table like military strategists planning D-Day. The rich aroma of Carmen's stress-induced espresso filled the house as we analyzed every suspicious line item. What we discovered was absolutely spectacular. Bethany had been embezzling HOA funds for years. Emergency repairs paid to shell companies that existed only in her imagination. Professional consultation fees for services never performed. Community beautification projects with zero visible improvements and receipts that looked like they'd been generated in Microsoft Paint. The woman had been running her personal bank account disguised as community management. During my MP training, we learned that financial crimes always leave paper trails, and Bethany had been painting a masterpiece of fraud for anyone smart enough to look. My counterattack was precision-engineered devastation. I filed a formal complaint with the State HOA Oversight Board complete with financial documentation and a timeline of systematic harassment. The complaint process required Bethany to produce official meeting minutes, board certification documents, and audited financial records for the past 3 years. Paperwork I was betting she couldn't manufacture fast enough. Meanwhile, I mobilized other victims of her reign of terror. Previous homeowners had left forwarding addresses, and a few strategic phone calls revealed they'd be thrilled to join a class action complaint. Military families don't abandon fellow veterans when some civilian __ declares war on all of us. I also started documenting Bethy's own violation patterns with my upgraded surveillance system. Her pristine BMW parked illegally in fire lanes during weekend open houses. Her landscaping crew operating on Sundays, violating the quiet hours she'd weaponized against us. Her own yappy Pomeranian running loose in common areas without a leash, breaking the exact pet regulations she was trying to use for our destruction. Watching this hypocrite violate her own rules daily was like Christmas morning every single day. But Princess Bethany wasn't finished escalating. Her next move crossed every conceivable line of human decency. She filed for a restraining order against me, claiming I'd made threatening gestures and that my military background presented ongoing danger to community stability. The court filing detailed completely fabricated incidents. Me conducting surveillance of her property, my dogs displaying aggressive behavior toward children, and my hostile military demeanor during our interactions. When a sheriff served papers at our front door, Carmen called me at work, voice tight with worry. She's trying to get you legally banned from our own neighborhood. Ezra. I was actually laughing as I read the ridiculous allegations. Honey, she just gave me the most beautiful present imaginable. How is this a gift? Because now she has to prove every lie under oath in front of a real judge with actual evidence. And I had 6 cameras worth of footage documenting every second of our interactions. Game, set, match. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for Wednesday at 2 p.m., and Bethany had absolutely no clue she was walking into the most spectacular legal massacre of her pathetic existence. But first, this suburban terrorist decided to escalate her psychological warfare to levels that would make actual war criminals impressed. Monday morning, 6:47 a.m. My phone exploded with an unknown number while Carmen was already at the hospital saving actual heroes, and I was getting our daughters ready for school. Some panicked woman, claiming to be a concerned neighbor, breathlessly reported that my trained attack dogs had lunged aggressively at innocent children waiting for the school bus. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Trembling voice, specific details about predatory behavior, even claims that parents were too terrified to let their kids walk to school safely. By 7:15 a.m., Animal Control was pounding on my door with an emergency inspection warrant. Officer Martinez, a decent guy who actually understood his job, spent 30 minutes watching Rex and Luna demonstrate obedience training that would make Marine drill instructors weep with pride. Both dogs sat, stayed, healed, and performed their therapy protocols while neighborhood kids played loudly just yards away. "Sir, these are some of the most professionally trained animals I've encountered," Martinez admitted, scratching Luna behind her battle-card ear. Whoever reported this was either completely delusional or deliberately lying. "Any chance you can tell me who filed a complaint?" "Officially, no. Unofficially, the caller used very specific military terminology and mentioned your combat background multiple times. Real interesting vocabulary for a random, concerned soccer mom." Bethy's manipulative fingerprints were smeared all over this manufactured crisis like cheap lipstick on a wine glass. But her true masterpiece of evil was still coming. Tuesday afternoon, Maya burst through our front door, sobbing with the kind of heartbroken fury that makes fathers contemplate homicide. Her face was flushed with humiliation as she collapsed into Carmen's arms. "Dad, they're saying horrible things about our family at school. Kids are asking if you're going to have an episode and hurt people. Someone started a rumor that we have guard dogs because you're dangerous and unstable." The taste of pure rage filled my mouth like battery acid. My 16-year-old daughter was being psychologically tortured at school because some suburban psychopath was conducting a propaganda campaign against our family's military service. Maya described former friends suddenly afraid to visit, teachers giving her concerned looks, parents whispering about the unstable veteran family during school pickup. This transcended neighborhood harassment. This was systematic character assassination designed to destroy my children's social lives and mental health. When Carmen came home that evening, she found me in full military intelligence mode. Security footage displayed across 3 laptops, legal documents organized with tactical precision, evidence charts covering our dining room wall like a federal investigation. The sharp smell of black coffee mixed with her lavender hospital scrubs as she surveyed my war room. "Please tell me you're not planning anything that'll land you in federal prison before tomorrow's hearing. Just connecting beautiful dots, babe. The picture is absolutely ___ gorgeous.